Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Monday, the 23rd day of March, 2026. I hope you're all safe and healthy. I hope you enjoyed your weekend and that your family is safe and healthy and your family enjoyed their weekend and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the area of health, working alongside first responders every day, doing their best to save lives. Those also that pick up garbage to keep cities and towns clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children, victims of child molestation and pedophilia. Those that are helping the victims of prostitution and child prostitution, pornography, child pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on all the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts that create the demand that cause these evil and heinous industries to exist. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, military veterans, homeless in the United States of America, and millions of people around the world in worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. There was a basketball game last night at Madison Square Garden, and it was a very good night. Not just because the Knicks won against the Washington Wizards, 145-113, but because of several things that happened, not the least of which is that Minnesota, Juju and them went into Boston without Ant and beat the Celtics last night. Now, as we stand this morning, the Knicks are one half game away from the second seed, a half game. Now, they play the Pelicans tomorrow and have to take care of business against the Pelicans, and the Boston Celtics will be meeting one OKC Thunder in Boston on Wednesday. And so this combination could end up with the Knicks in the second seed by the end of the week. Now, I said it was a good night last night, and I said for more than one reason. When Mike Brown called timeout early in the first quarter, and he has done this a lot during this 6-game winning streak. By the way, since the All-Star break, this is the second winning streak of at least 6 games that the Knicks have had, showing that they are now playing their best basketball at the right time of the year. One of the concerns I had with Mike Brown was that his team would not be playing the best basketball at this time of the year, whereas Tom Thibodeau's teams always did. Well, now we can add Mike Brown now because his team, the New York Knicks, is playing its best basketball at the right time. Now, with respect to what we were just discussing, with respect to the timeouts, they asked Kat, Josh, and Jalen about the timeouts. And all of them said, Kat said, well, it was a long walk back to the bench when he calls timeout. Why? And they all agreed. They were not focused. They were missing assignments. And then Mike Brown himself said, when the opponent is not feeling us and when we're repeating mistakes, and he mentioned 2 or 3 three-pointers in a row, he says he needs to call timeout and get the team refocused. Also, they asked Jalen Brunson about last night, and one of the last questions that was asked of him was there was at least, I think they said 8 players that were at 8 points or more, and they asked, what was contributing to that, Jalen? And he said the ball was hopping. When the ball is hopping like that and everybody's involved, that's the outcome. And he's right, of course. But we're all happy that Jalen Brunson caught that memo. Matter of fact, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We had 11 players last night with at least 8 points. And I made note to watch the stats at the end of the third quarter. Why? At the end of the third quarter, the Knicks had 21 assists, which is a good average because 21 assists at the end of 3 quarters is 7 assists a quarter, which if you extrapolate that out, that's 28 assists, and that's what you want. That's the average you want for the Knicks. So right now, as of last night, though, they had 32 assists. Why? Because the ball was moving. This is extremely important as we're going down the stretch of this season, that Jalen Brunson and the Knicks understand the ball must move offensively, and they have to stop, as we've been saying for weeks now, the weak side three-point shot has to be covered by the persons. Usually it's McCall, it's Josh, or it's Jalen on the weak side. Last night, there was one particular play where Josh made a terrific steal off the weak side. They were looking for the weak side three-point shooter, and Josh was laying in the weeds, waiting for that pass to come, and played the passing lane and stripped him. So that's what we want to see. Okay, so it was a good win, yes. It was a lowly team, yes. But it's what our team is doing and not doing that we need to focus on. What is our team doing? Well, there's won 6 straight. They're understanding the ball needs to move. They get in a problem when they don't understand that and they don't play the proper defense, and Mike Brown is ready to pounce on them, call timeout and get in their behind, let them know, stick with the game plan. So that was all good last night. Again, that's what we want going forward, regardless of the competition. Although tomorrow night we have stronger competition coming to town with the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, Jalen Brunson again, you know, he shot 19 times. Towns shot 13. Towns gets 26 and 16. Jalen gets 23 and 4. Okay, it wasn't his best game, but defensively they played better. McCall, because the ball was moving, again 32 assists. What does that translate for McCall Bridges? 14 points, 6 of 11 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, plus 28, 6 assists for McCall. Okay, you want to turn McCall game on, the ball must be hopping. You want to take McCall out the game, it doesn't matter who the opponent is, hog the ball. Very simple. It's not complicated. Okay, so McCall, and in fact, it was 4 guys in the starting unit in double figures, and OG is the one that had 9 points. OG was plus 13. OG wasn't, he only got 7 shots yesterday. Just is what it is. But Cat got 13. Josh got 9. McCall got 11. 19 shots for Brunson. Muhammad Diawara took 6. That's what you want to see. Jordan Clarkson got 6. Jordan Clarkson hit 8 points. Mitch Robb, 10 points. 10 boards, plus 14. This is what you want. Okay? So the team seems to understand, especially Jalen Brunson, that if you want success as a team, the ball must be moving. They understand that they must guard the three-point line. And when I say guard the three-point line, again, I'm talking specifically about the weak side three-point line. Okay, making sure that defender has enough room to get to that shooter without getting sucked into the lane and trying to help from the weak side and leaving that shooter open. So the Knicks appear to be understanding this at this point, and we're going to hopefully see more of that as we go down. Now we got 10 more games to go. The Knicks again are a half game away from the second seed as we're looking at it today. They are about, what is it now? They are 5 games from Detroit, okay? And Detroit has won 3 straight also. So Detroit, even without K, again, they're figuring it out how to win. Just like last night, no Ant, and Minnesota goes into Boston and gets a win in Boston. As a matter of fact, I didn't know it was their first win in 14 games in Boston. So they hadn't won in 14 tries in Boston, where they broke that curse last night. And so it looks like, the Knicks have a shot at the second seed. And what would that mean? That means now, if playoffs were to start, the Knicks had the second seed, they would play the Philadelphia 76ers, who would be the 7th seed. Okay? 7-game series against Philly. We've been there before, okay? And that's not a bad opponent. And it also means that they would have home court until the Eastern Conference Finals, assuming Detroit gets to the Eastern Conference Finals, which I think they would. So that is the scenario at this point. We're in a good spot. We're at a good part of the schedule. We still have one more major road trip coming up. Okay, the Knicks just finished a really grueling road trip out west. They got another one coming up soon. So right now we still have New Orleans at home, But then we go to Charlotte on Thursday. Now, Charlotte, I mentioned before, they've been balling. They're in the play-in. They're going to be in the play-in, okay? They're balling. Then you go from Charlotte to Oklahoma City next week, Sunday. That's Oklahoma City, okay? And then you got Houston right after that. And then that's a back-to-back between Houston and at Memphis, who has been, you want to say they're tanking, but they've been scrappy. They've been in every game, the Memphis Grizzlies. So they no jaw, no several important plays missing for them. Of course, they traded Triple J, so now they scrapping. But we can't take any of these games for granted. Now, we also would like to see this week would be good if we hear that Deuce McBride has been granted clearance for practice. Right now, we know he is doing drills. He's shooting with the assistant coaches. He's doing full contact drills. We want the next step for him would be clearance to practice full time. If he gets that, then he's less than a week away from joining back into the rotation. That's also big news because we're still in March. Okay, we're still in March for another week. So we can get Deuce by the end of this month, which is the next week and a half. We're in very good shape because then we still got April, and April only has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in April. That's enough games, hopefully, to get Deuce back wet again, get his jumper wet, get his game back on point, and being ready for the postseason. So this is where we at. We're in a very good position right now. The Knicks are playing very good basketball. And even when they're not, which they hadn't, every game in this winning streak wasn't the prettiest, but they still win. And that's the important thing. They're finding ways to win games, which is what you want. So we had a lousy game against Brooklyn, and they still won the game. They should have lost the Brooklyn game, and they still won the game. Okay, so they've been playing very well, and they had a lousy game against Golden State, but they won again. See, so they're learning how to win in different ways. They're playing at a high level in that regard, and they're still improving, which is good because you want them to really peak in May and June. Okay, that's when we want to peak. Now, if you recall, earlier in the season, we lost to Minnesota, and Juju and them was flexing. And I was saying at the time, we lost to Minnesota December 23rd, 115-104, and I was saying at the time, okay, you could flex in December, but it's more important to be flexing in June than December. And that's still the case. Okay, so we'll be back. And next game is tomorrow against the Pelicans. Got to handle business in this game. Okay, got to handle business in this game. Again, same fundamentals that we already know what the Knicks need to do. Most importantly, they know what they need to do. And so they got to be focused on that. Again, the only evil that can hurt us right now, aside from injuries, is energy. We want to make sure they have the energy every game. Now, Josh Hart is playing with energy, which is great. Cat is playing with energy, which is great. All of them playing with energy. The only one that seems to be a little waning, just a little bit, is OG. And I think he'll be okay. I'm not worried about OG. I think he'll be all right. And of course, the head of the snake has to understand game plan and stick with it. And we'll be all right. Okay? So that's what we're dealing with right now. You just got to stick with the game plan, stick with what we're doing. Learn, as Mike Brown said, we're still improving and learning. And at this stage, though, the Knicks, like I said, they're playing the best ball of the year right now. But we still got another level or two to go that we can go up higher, and they can. Again, especially when Deuce comes back. So this is very good. No Shamet last night, and they still took care of business. So this is good. Let's continue to do what we do, and we will talk again tomorrow as the Knicks take on the Pelicans at MSG. Enjoy your Monday. Be safe out there. So